All right, take a look at this hands-on questions, written questions first. The first one is easy. Create a initialize array to hold 3 names. That's simple, right? Create an initialize array to hold 5 largest US states. So what does it mean by largest? By population, by land, whatever. It does not matter. Just create array to hold 5 states. And then initialize array to hold 4 employee salaries. So you need to use double, right? And then create the initialize array to hold 3 pen objects. So in that case, you're going to create an array to hold objects. So let me close that. So if I will do it, let me just do the on the whiteboard here. Okay, so you will be doing something like, let me do that. So pen object, so that is a pen. So you're going to create initialize array to hold 3 pen objects. So you're going to do, say, pen, okay? And then say just name is my pens equals to new, and then pen. And then you say how many? 3, right? Did I say 3 or 4? Hold 3 pen objects. There you go. There we go. Okay. And then if you want to do actual pens, you can just say use a pen first. Okay, pen. And then say my pen equals to new, and then pen. So let's say color, red. And then you can just put that into my pens. My pens, 0 equals to my pen. Then do it again. So now let's create another pen. Pen, let's say your pen equals to new pen. And then here color, let's say blue. So after you have that pen, you just put that into a second array, second element, second sub-block. Say my pens 1 equals to your pen. Do one more. So pen open equals to new pen. Let's say color black. Okay, and then say my pens 2 equals to all pen. Okay, so there we go. So that's just how we write that, create a pen objects, hold pen objects. And then the next one, write a letter to get the first letter from the text box. That should be easy. Last letter, let's do the last letter. Write the code to extract the last letter from the text box. So first of all, I'm going to use text, create a string. So let's just say message equals to txta.text. Getting that in the text box into a message variable. And then I need to get the last letter. So in order to use message, msg.substring. So remember you have two parameters. One is what is a position index. Position index. And then how many letters? How many? Okay, the number of characters. And then here is the position. So in here, the number of characters is 1. That's easy to decide. But then how do I know what is the position? Because the message may have a different size, right? So some are very long, some of them may be short. So I need to decide what is the position. So here, if I have like message like this, okay, say, love you. So in total, how many letters? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So in total, you have 8, right? So in that case, here should be 7, right? Because you have the counters first letter, first position 0, and then 1 and 2, right? And then the last set, that last one should be 7. So in total, you have 8 characters, right? So in total, you have 8. So in general, you need to find out what is total number of characters in order to determine what is the position here. So let's declare a variable, say length equals to msg dot length. So that will tell you what is total number of characters, okay? And that number, length minus 1, should be the position for the last letter. And then you take 1 from the last position, and then the result is what you need, okay? So let's say string result equal to that. So then this 3 lines of code is what you need. Any questions on this? You want to do one more? Let's just say if I'm going to do, let's say, where is that? Right here. So if I'm going to extract this last one, extract the code, extract the letters from the second to the second to the last. So that's number 7 here, right? Second, the second to the last. So in this case, okay, let's just say first part is the same. So string message msg equals to txta.text. So you get the text, whatever text, into the variable first. Okay, and then you're going to do result. Let's say string result equals to, you're going to say msg.substring. Okay, substring. So you're starting from the second letter has index 1, right? And then you need to decide how many letters in total here. So second to the last. So what is second to last? So let's use the same letters here. Okay, so if I have love you. Okay, so what is second to last? This is the last one. This is second to last, right? So in total, we said there was 8 characters. So what is second to the last? Second to last should be the total length. The total length minus 1 will be the last position, minus 2 will be the second to last position, right? So you're going to get the same thing here. So integer length equals to msg dot length. Get the total number of characters first, but here you're going to use length minus 2. Hold on. Let me see. I'm not talking about position. I'm talking about total number of characters. Okay, so total number of characters. So what is total number of characters? So in total you have 8. Suppose you have 8, right? So you are taking from the second to the last, to the second to the last. So basically, take anything in between here. So your starting position is 1. Position is fine, but then you need to decide how many letters you need to take. How many letters? Well, if in total 8, then you need to remove the first one and remove the last one. So still will be 2. Okay, so length minus 2 is correct. Okay, so you need to remove the first one and remove the last one. So then you have only 6 left, right? So in total, that is, so that this part is 8 minus 2, right? Equal to 6. Make sense? So that is how you get that 3 lines of code for that question. All right. Is that clear, everyone? No questions? Okay. And then let's say for hands-on, do you have any questions on hands-on part? So hands-on part is, this one is fine. Okay, so hands-on part is create a small game as follows. You create an array of 50 hidden slots to hold the name of US states. Okay, so basically create an array with 50 slots, and one for each United States name. And then press a button to randomly pick up 2 slots. So pick up, just generate 2 random numbers. Okay. Let's just do it. Okay. So I'm not going to do all 50 states because that takes a while to type. So I'm going to just for example, use maybe like 5 states. Okay. So I'm going to create a new project, Visual Studio project. So remind me if I forgot to review your homework. I do want to make sure that you know what should be the right way to do your homework. Let's go to create a project, new project. Let's say I'm going to do Windows Forms application. This is homework 6, right? So I save to desktop. Homework 6. That's okay. All right, so let's take a look at the question again. You create a small game to create 50 states, generate 2 random numbers. If the names are 2 slots that you pick with the same alphabetical letters, then you win $10. Okay, otherwise you lose $5. So let's say I will just create a text box to show the reward. A button first. Okay. All right, so button, let's just say give a name, give a text, let's say play. Okay. And button BTM play. And then let's create a text box to show the reward. Or you can use a message box. I did not specify, so you can use either one. Okay. So let's say the text box name is txt reward R, okay? So I'm going to we're going to put a code here. So this, when I press this one, I'm going to get 2 random numbers, and I'm going to check whether that the 2 random number corresponding positions have the same first letter. So first of all, where do I declare this array to hold? So actually in this one, you can put inside the button, but you can also do global variables. Let's just say I want to do global variables, okay? So here I'm going to say string, okay, then say states. Okay. So this is the only place you can, this is the place you can only declare variables, but you cannot initialize. So we'll have the initialize inside the constructor. The states equals to new, and then string, and then let's say 50. In total, you have 50 states, right? Let me just do 5. Okay, so I said I do not have time to type everything. So I will do 5. And then the states 0, so equals to, let's say, Ohio. Okay, states 1 equals to, let's just say, Oregon. Let's say Oregon. Okay, states 2 equals to New York. And states 3 equals to Oklahoma. How to spell that? Oklahoma. Okay. And then states, what last one? States 4. Yeah, last one is 4, right? Equals to, for example, Illinois. All right. So let's say suppose all these states are already initialized. Okay, so now I'm going to just inside the button. When I click the button, I just need to generate 2 random numbers. Okay, so random, my generator equals to new random. Okay, so I'm going to generate two integers, say I and j. Okay, so I is equal to my generator, but next. So I was still from basically 0, right? 0 to 4. 0, yeah, 0 to 4. Okay. And the j will be also any numbers between 0 to 4. That next is also from 0 to 4. Okay. So we're generating two index numbers, okay? And now we need to find out what are the two first the first letter of these two of the two states that you picked. So I state and j state, right? So let's just use string. Okay, first state as first state letter L, okay, and then second state letter. Okay. Okay. So first state letter will be equal to what is the first one? So states I dot substring. So 0, 1, right? The first letter, first position, and one letter. And the second state will be equal to states j dot substring, and also 0, 1. Okay. And now you decide the reward. If they are the same, if first state letter is equal to second state letter, okay, then let's put a reward. It's a txt r.text equals to, let's say $10, right? Let's say $10. $10. Okay. Else, txt r.text. What was that? Those $5, right? Those negative $5. Okay. Oh, by the way, I use when I do if else, I'm supposed to have curly brackets or surround this one, and also have curly brackets surround this one. But there's a case that if you have only one command after if or else, then you can skip, you can forget those curly brackets. So, because I have only one command here, right? So if you have multiple commands, you have to put inside the curly brackets like this, with that inside, and then put the code inside, like that. If you have multiple commands, okay, but in this case, we have only one command, so curly brackets can be briefed, can be ignored. Okay. So same thing here. So you can also put a curly brackets after else. We can do that. Yeah. All right, so that's it. That's all we have to do. So remember, the states are declared as a global variable. So therefore, even though the button, inside the button, you do not have states. You did not declare array states. But since you declared as global right here, and this array will be available to any of these functions, like a button click or some other functions. All right, so this is how we do that question. So I think if you try it, in this case, I probably have to try a couple of times in order to get the right play. Negative $5, negative $10, I won, okay? So, all right, any questions on this one? No questions? All right, so I'm going to close this one. Hopefully you all did well on this homework. Now what am I going to do? Let's say before I begin, do you have any other general questions? So today we are going to do so-called a while loop. First of all, let me just explain what is a while loop. And then let's use example to illustrate that. While loop, don't confuse a while loop with if, else. Kind of like if else. However, if else will be just like a contingent execution. While loop is repetitive execution. Let me close this one. I think this is week 6, right? Yeah. So the syntax for while loop is this. First of all, let me explain the syntax. Okay. So syntax is a while, this small letter while. And then inside, you're going to put a conditions. And these conditions are, working conditions or performing conditions. Or just generally say conditions, okay? Let's say put conditions here. The conditions could be connected by and or this is and or. So if you have several conditions, all right? So you're going to check the conditions, and then you're going to have a bunch of commands here. So commands, and each one is end with semicolon, right? So you have a bunch of commands here inside the curly brackets. There's a curly brackets here. Okay. So what does this do is these commands will repeat if the condition is met. If these conditions are met. And after you finish running this, these commands, then you go back to check condition again. If the condition is met again, then these commands will be repeated, and then going back again. Then check condition and repeat. So if you think of trying to illustrate that is a diagram, so you start here, okay? And then you're going to check, so this is a decision here, check condition here. Check conditions, okay? And if condition is true, if this is true, then you run these commands. Run these commands, the commands inside the curly brackets. And after that, you still have to go back to this decision node to check the condition again. So this is like a while loop, okay? So this part is, and then if not true, if the condition is not true, is false, then the loop will basically breaks. So in other words, if this condition is not true, then this thing will not be repeated. These commands will not be executed. Instead, your control jump to this statement. So if you have other statement here, and those statements will be executed after the loop. Does it make sense? So to correctly use a while loop, there are a couple of things you need to know. First of all, you need to decide what is the condition for these commands to be executed. Okay, and that is sometimes not that easy to identify, but we'll use example to demonstrate a couple of those. And then the second thing you need to remember that in a while loop, the while loop can be infinite. So for example, if this condition is always true, never stop, never fails, then these commands will be repeated infinitely. And what happens if your computer just run those commands infinitely? The computer will crash. Okay? Your computer will crash. So these commands just can only run finite. So computers are finite machines. Anything that we do, like numbers, commands, can only be done finitely, even though very large. However, it has to have a limit. If there's no limit, then this your computer is going to crash. So your computer is just be frozen. Okay? So if you have an infinite loop, I'll show you an example. Let me just give you an example here. Suppose I have something like this. So let's say Suppose I say integer x equals to 1, start with 1, okay? And then say while x is greater than 0, and then let's say I do something, okay? Let's say comment here, so I'll skip that. But then after that, I say x equals to x plus 1. Okay, so let's take a look at this loop. Take a look at this loop. Yes, the integer here. Okay, so start with the 1, and then you check, is the 1 greater than 0? Yes, it's greater than 0. And then if it's greater than 0, then we're going to execute these commands. Okay, so whatever this command does not matter. And then after that, you say your x equals to x plus 1 again. So x will be equal to 2, right? So after that, you're going to go back to check the condition again. 2 is greater than 0. So therefore, then this command will be executed again. And then x will be x equals to plus 1 again. So the x will be 3. And then you go back to check the condition again. So x equals to 3, 3 is bigger than 0. So therefore, this will be executed again. So can you imagine that this loop will break anytime? Will never break. So this is infinite loop. Infinite loop. So the loop will never stop. Does it make sense? Okay, so in this case, I'm using a perform working condition, which is x greater than 0. Okay, so when if x is greater than 0, then this statement will be executed. And after the statement executed, I'm coming back to check again to say whether x is still greater than 0. If it is, then this command will be executed again. Infinite. Okay, so this will never stop. Okay, so believe it or not, if you put that code into a button click, then your computer will crash. Okay. All right. So now let's say if we talk about the if for loop, right? For loop. So for example, for for loop is used if I know the number of steps to execute. So for example, if I want to run some kind of something like that will run certain number of steps, like let's say we want to run 50 times. Okay, so start with 0, and then say I is less than or equal to 49. Okay, and then I plus plus. Okay, and then we have some commands in here to be executed 50 times. Okay, 50 times. So this command size, this can be any commands, right? So this for loop is very special case. So while loop can replace that. So while let's say how can we use while loop to replace? Okay. So first of all, in this case, we want to make sure that the condition is when the I is less than or equal to 49. I want this to be executed starting from 0, right? So what I will do is I'm going to use a while I is less than or equal to 49. Okay. And then inside here, I'm going to have commands, same kind of commands. Okay, so these commands will go to here. So this same commands will come here. Okay. And then after the command, I want this letter I to increase by 1. So this I plus plus. I just write I plus plus here. So I plus plus. So now you see that I plus plus is actually coming from the loop, right? So let me make this bigger so that we can draw a line so that you can see both together. So basically this part, I plus plus, is coming to here. Okay. Now what about the initial part, this I equal to 0? So that is also something you have to initialize before the while loop. So integer I equal to 0. There we go. So this part is actually coming to here. So now you see how can we translate the for loop into while loop? Make sense? So basically, this part, the stopping, this condition is checked. The check condition is put inside a while in a while. Okay, and then the initialization step is put in here, and then this increment put inside the loop. Okay, let me use an example to demonstrate that. Okay, we'll do I think we did like some random numbers and then we do statistics, right? So let's just do one more example like that. So everybody follow me. Let's open up Visual Studio to create a new project. And last week we did, let me see which one was it. It was like a fourth example, right? So let's do fourth example. Why do I have two fourth? Oh, this is what is this? First, second, third, but I have two of this. Well, this is a zip file. Okay, let's do fifth. Okay, so let's do new project, and then Windows Forms again. By the way, we do Windows, so we always use Windows for this class. You can use the same technique for web. You can use same technique for iOS programs, for apps. Same thing. Okay, just basically the code idea principle will be the same, but just using different template. Okay, so let's do fifth example. Okay. So Windows Forms. All right, and then press OK. All right, so let's say what do we want to do? Let's just say this time I want to use a while loop to generate 5,000 random numbers, okay? So I will do that, use a button. There's a button here. Okay. And then let's give a name here. Let's just say generate. And there's a btn generate, okay? And let's also put use a list box to show the numbers generated, so that way we don't have to just see the code, but also we see the result. So let's just do a list box this time. All right, and then let's just say LST list box data. Okay. So that is a name for the list for the numbers. Okay, so now let's double click the buttons. Okay, so first of all, we need a random number generator, right? So random my generator equals to new random. Okay. And then we're going to create a array to hold 5,000 numbers. So that would be double, right? Double. And then let's say data equals to new double. How many? 5,000. Okay. So now let's say if I do the if loop, if I do for loop, that was the easy one. So let me do that first, okay? int equal to integer I equal to 0, and I less than equal to 4,999, right? Yeah. Or you can just simply say to I less than 5,000. 5,000, okay? Less than, not less than equal to. And then I plus plus. Okay. And then the code is just simply say data I equals to my generator dot next double. Okay, next double is, remember the number is between 0 to 1. So if you want to have a number between 10 to 20, what it would do? If you have a number between 10 to 20, in that case, you're going to, so if it's 0, then you change that to 10. So you say 10 plus, okay? And then plus whatever number you generated, and then multiply by 10. So that will give you numbers between 0 to 10, right? So then 0 to 10 plus 10, so that will give you a number between 10 to 20, right? Okay. So you can always manipulate that to change to get a different kind of random numbers. And that's how simulation is doing. So simulation can just assume certain kind of patterns or distributions and then generate the numbers based on that, okay? To follow that distribution. Okay. So there we go. So this is how we generate 5,000 numbers, okay? So if after we have 5 numbers, we can just put the numbers into text box, into list box. Maybe remember data source, right? Equals to, let's just say we would do this data, okay? So data. So that's how we generate using the for loop. So now let's try to do while loop, okay? Okay, so let me do while loop. So what we do is, first of all, we are going to use we're going to do 5,000 steps, 5,000 numbers or so. So this does not have to change. Only thing need to change is this one, right? So we're going to comment this few lines of code. Comment. Okay. So remember, you need to put that, declare that initial index first. Integer I equal to 0. Okay. That's the first step. Second, you need to put that in the while condition. So while then I is less than 5,000. Okay. And then curly brackets. Okay, curly brackets. And then whatever command you have to do, you basically just use the same thing. So basically you can do, say, theta I equals to that, okay? That. And then after that, you have to add this increment, so I plus plus. So after you executed the commands, you say I plus plus. Okay. And then this will go back to check I equals less than 5,000 again. And if it is, then you do it again. So do this random number, and then I plus plus, and then this will repeat 5,000 times. Okay, so this is equivalent to that. Okay. Now let me do it again. So this time I want to use this 5,000 numbers to do statistics. For example, let's say I want to find the maximum of this 5,000 numbers. Maximum of this 5,000 numbers. Okay, so let's do that. So I'll do that after here. Okay, after this, you can try it. You can run it. It should be working. Okay, and so generate. Okay, so you generate all these numbers here. Okay, it's all between 10 to 20. All right. So now let's say I want to find the maximum of these numbers you generated. Okay, so I'm going to. First of all, let's say I want to use for loop. Okay, so double, say result max. Okay, result. So you're going to initialize to which one? Remember, when you find a max or mean, you want to initialize to the very first number. So let's say data 0. Okay, that's the first you initialize. And then let's say I want to use for loop first. Okay, for loop, integer I. So let's just say this time I will use different index I, j. Okay, this I, and then let's just use j to avoid confusion. So j equal to 0. And then j is less than 5,000. And semicolon, and then j plus plus, right? So do you remember how you find the max, find the mean? You basically initialize to the first one, and then you compare each one to the current max. If it is bigger, then you swap. Okay, so we say if data I is bigger than the current max, is bigger than this existing max, then we swap. We say max equals to data I semicolon. Okay, so that's only case if it's bigger. If it's not bigger, then you do nothing. You do not need to, you don't need to do anything. Only if the current number is bigger than max, then you want to swap the max. Okay. So then this result, this will show you the result, which is maximum. Okay. So let's just say message box. Use a message box to show that. Message box show. Okay. So let's say the maximum is. Okay. So after that, I'll say plus max. Okay, whatever variable that will be implicitly converted into text and will be added to this text. Maximum is that. Okay. Now let's try to do that using while loop. Okay. So the point is trying to get you used to while loop. So any for loop can be replaced by while loop. Okay. So while loop is a more powerful thing. Okay. So what do we do? First of all, initialize the counter integer j equal to 0. Right? And then the second part, this comment is on first. Okay, comment. Because otherwise you're going to get the name confusion. Variable name is confusing. Okay. So initialize that, and then you put this as a while condition. While j is less than 5,000. Okay. Then inside here, you're going to run the commands. So the command is this. All these are inside the command. This whole thing, that essentially just one line code, okay? But it's if statement. So it's just, that's what you need to just do. So if I is bigger than max, then you do that, okay? So this is a thing which will be the same as in the for loop. And we still need to add increment statement. So j must increase, right? So we have to do that after what we need to run. So j plus plus. All right, so then this will achieve the same result as this for loop. Okay. Any questions? So you can run it and then show the result. Okay, let me just do it quickly. Generate. Oh, something wrong. Did you say what's wrong? I use I instead of j here. So here, this j is supposed to be j, okay? So I need to stop debugging first and then make corrections. Okay. So this index is j, not I, okay? This is j, sorry, j. All right. So it's easy to make mistakes. All right, so now you say that what is the maximum? Maximum is 19.9999, whatever. Okay, so this is how we do that. Okay. Any questions so far? So basically, if you have for loop, you can just replace by while loop, okay? By using pretty much substitute, okay? Initial counter, stopping, and then increment or decrement. And then whatever commands you run will be the same as before. Okay. So is there any possibility, is there any situation, can while loop be replaced by for loop? Can while loop be replaced by for loop? The answer is no. Answer is no, because if you use for loop, you know that you're going to run the number of steps. The number of steps you know, which is when you do coding, you know how many steps you're going to run, okay? You know how many steps you're going to run, then you use for loop. But while loop generally will be used if you're not sure how many steps you're going to run. All right. So let's try to create another example. So let me do, this is generate random numbers. Okay, so I am going to generate something new here. Let's just do what? I'm going to create another button instead of, I don't like too many buttons. Let's just do the button. Okay, just show the code anyway. Create another button. Okay, so this time I'm going to generate, also use random numbers, but I'm going to say, I don't know how many I'm going to generate. So let's just say this button is generate unknown number of integers. Okay, let's just do that. Unknown number of integers. Trying to say the name should make sense, right? And then let's give a name here. Let's just say btn generate integer. So it's different name, okay? So here, now this is what I want to do. I want to generate integers until the integer is an even number. So you may generate 1, 3, 5, and then 6, and then you stop because 6 is even number, okay? Or you may generate just first number, 2, then you stop right away because you don't have to continue. Does that make sense? So if you generate numbers like a 1, 1, 5, 6, then you 6 stop. Okay, 1, 1, 7, 5, 8, and then you stop at 8. Okay, so now you have a question. You have a question. So you don't know how many steps you're going to run, right? So the condition is what? The condition is when that number you generated is an even number. That's what you need to stop. Okay, so what do we do? Let's just put that. So let's just put a comment here. Okay, so stop when the integer is even. Okay, so in other words, if not even, then you stop. You will continue. So I will say while. Okay, so I will declare integer first. Integer, let's say x. Okay. So I'm going to just run a number to generate that. Okay. And then let's say this code, I'm just brainstorming along the way, right? So just like what you do typically when you write a new code, right? So when this x is not even, is not even. So that means when this divided by 2 is equal to 1, then you're going to run the code. You're going to run the code, okay? So this will be the commands you're going to run, all right? And now let's try to declare, create the generator again. So random mygen equals to new random. Okay. So I'm going to generate a number. Okay, x equals to my generator. But say next. So let's just say I want to start a number. Let's say between 1 to 100. Okay, let's say I want to generate a number between 1 to 100. So whenever it reaches to even number, I will stop. Okay. So if this is not even number, is odd number, then I'm going to continue to generate. So I'm going to say x is equal to my generator dot next. Okay. And then they will be starting from 0, and then maximum is 100. Okay. So in Skeleton, this is how the code works. So you keep on generating integers. First, you generate 1, okay, and check, say whether the number is even or not. If it's not even, then you generate again. And check again, check the result, say whether it's even. If it's even, then you stop. Otherwise, you do it again. Okay, so this will be just a correct code. However, this code does nothing because in the end, you don't know how many times you generate, how many numbers you generated, and what are the numbers you generated. So let's say in this case, if I want to keep a record of all the numbers I generated, can somebody tell me, is there any way to do that? Use array? Well, that will not work because array you have to know how many numbers you're going to use, how many numbers you have to have. So for example, if I do things like integer, and then say values equals to a new integer, and then you have to say how many numbers you want, right? So 5 or 1 or 0 or whatever. So you have to specify how many numbers. Okay, so 90. So that will not work because that will just generate, say, in the maximum you have 90 numbers. But what if this keep on running, then up before 90 numbers, you don't get even numbers. Then this will crash, okay? So this will not work. The array will not work, okay? So what will be the solution? So let's just put the simple solution first, and then I'm talking about another construct similar to array, but it's more general than array, which is called the list. Okay, so at this point, what we need to do is actually simple. We just need to add the number to the list. Add a number to the list. Remember, we have a list box, right? List data. That we can just say add items. Dot add. Then you can say add x. Okay. Now let's say this will show you all the numbers I generated. First, I generate a number. If number is not even number, then I will add the number to the list, and I will generate again. And then we check the number again to see whether it's even number or not. Okay? And now I'm going to show you, instead of just put the numbers into list box, I can also put into a variable like array, but it's a list. Okay, so let's do that. Let's run it. So generate again. Okay, so we have 71 and 63, and then the next number is probably even stopped. Okay, do it again. So you know what happened? It's actually not every time we have numbers, it just add this to the existing list. The list is actually keep on increasing. So all the numbers was not erased. So if you want to get rid of all the numbers, this is what you would do. So you can just say before the loop, okay, when you run this statement, when you run the buttons, I want to clear the data first. That items, that clear, items, that clear. Just remove, okay? All right, so then all the numbers will be erased, and the new numbers will be generated. Okay, do it again. No numbers, the first number is even. Do it again. So this time I have to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6 numbers in order to get an even number. Okay, do it again. No number, that means the number you just generated, the first one is even. Second time, third time, 3 numbers. Okay, see that? All right. Okay. So in this case, you would have no way to write this as for loop because you don't know how many steps you're going to run. Okay. So what I'm going to tell you next is, say, if you, in that case, if you use a while loop, but you don't know how many steps you're going to run. In this case, it generated numbers, but I don't know how many numbers I'm going to generate. So the array will not work. But I'm going to tell you that there's another way instead of array. That is using so-called the list. Okay. So type list. Okay. And then the name of type, the list type, the numbers in the list is going to be integer. So you can see integer list. Okay, this is like a less than sign, greater than sign, okay? And then you can just say this data, okay? Data. Okay. And then this list, the list, you basically just add numbers to it or remove numbers to it. So, so that is dynamically, so the list length can be dynamic, so it can be changing, can be shrinking. So basically, it depends on how much data inside. So every time, if you want to add new numbers, then just say data.add. Okay, so let's say here, I'm going to comment this line out. Okay, so after I have numbers generated, so I will just say, what is the data.add? Okay, so add x. So the number, so this number will be, hold on, integer add string item list integer. So what is this one? This one is data not declared? Data is here. Is this okay? So have you initialize? Sorry. So new equals to new list. Sorry for that. And then left parenthesis, right parenthesis. So this is just constructor. You create actual list. Create actual list. So this part is, so that this constructor is same as this part, right? Okay. So this list data will hold all integers only. Okay, and now you say add that. And then if you want to remove, just simply data.remove, then whatever values will be removed. Okay, so this list will be automatically pushed if there's the item. Let me just do the whiteboard to show you that. Suppose I have so suppose I'm going to create a list of text. Okay, so list of text, that will be string. Okay, let's say I want to use that list to hold the name of states. So states equals to new list, and then string again, the same kind of data for the list items, and then parentheses. Okay, so we essentially that will create empty list like that. So empty list will have just have a name called states here. Okay, and then if I'm trying to add items to it, so that will say states dot add, and then say Ohio. So what does that do is just put the first item, say Ohio. Yeah. And now if you do it again, say states dot add, and then say New York. Okay, this is simple double quotes inside the text. And then you're going to put another item here, dynamically add it, so that will be New York. Okay, let's do it again, say states dot add, then say Illinois. So then this will add another item to it, will be Illinois. So this list will continue to grow if you add more items. But what if you remove? You remove. Let's just say if we say states dot remove. So let's say I remove New York. Okay, what will happen? Well, in this case, the list will do the work. So first of all, this item will be removed. And then the next item will push up. So the Illinois will replace the New York place, become the second one. Okay, so this is how the list will be dynamically grow or shrink. Is that clear, everyone? Okay, so that's how the list will work. So basically now we have a situation here. We declare a list, dynamic list, okay? And then that, you can just, use a while loop to keep on adding the numbers to it. And after that, we can still use the list to use, so if I have the numbers, the data in the list, and then we can show that inside, show that in using the list box. Okay, so LST data dot data source equals to data. So we can use list or array as data source for data list for list box. Okay, make sense? So if you run it, it should get the same thing as before. Okay, generate the two numbers. Generate, okay, oh, crashed. Because what? Because I trying to clear, but there's nothing to clear. Let me see what happened here. All these box items that are clear. What is the error message here? Remove all items from the collection. So it's kind of strange here. Let me see. So this is just simply list box. Okay. And then do it again. So then second time, if you already have items, then you're trying to remove, you get error message. So what is this? Items that the collection cannot be modified when the data source property is set. I see. So when the data source property is set, you cannot do remove. That is a restriction with this list box. So let's just temporarily remove this one. So data source, when you use data source property, it does not allow you to clear the items. These items can only be cleared when you dynamically add to it. That's what it says. But then you're going to get these items growing, right? No, it's not growing. Hold on, it's not a crash. Yeah, it's not growing. Okay, so this property is okay because data source is actually changing. So only when you do add directly to the list or remove from list, then you're going to clear. But then this time we actually set a data source property to whatever things that we want. That's okay. All right, so that's good. All right, and let's say, so this time we generate random numbers that we generate so we do while loop. So the while loop will stop when the number we generate is even. Okay, otherwise we'll just, and then you'll keep on doing that. So what time is it? I think I have 10 minutes left, right? 10 minutes. So I am going to do one small job using while loop, and then we stop. Okay. So let me show you. Where's my my PDF files here? So let's say we did that. We did that while loop, modify using that. Okay, we did that. Continue generate numbers when the number's even. So we did example 3. We did example 3 here. So next I'm going to do example 5. Example 5. Okay. So this time let's say I want to use. So whatever number I generate, I have like integers, okay? I want to divide by 2 until you cannot divide that any further. In other words, until the number is less than 2. You continue to divide until the number is less than 2. Okay? So let me show you what I mean by that. So if you have number equals to 10, then you divide by 2, then you get a 5, right? And then use the 5 divided by 2 again, so you get a quotient which is 2. And then use the 2 divided by 2 again, so you get a 1, and then you stop. Does it make sense? Okay, so what do we need? So what do we start? When do we stop? We stop when this number I want to, let me just put that into buttons or what? Let's create another button then. So I'm start with dealing with so-called binary number generator. Okay, so binary. Okay. Then btn bin binary. Okay. And then let's start with that. So let's just assume a number, any number x, okay, is greater is any number, okay, so any huge numbers, okay, the integer. And then I want to keep on divide this number until the number is less than 2. So in other words, if this when the x is greater than or equal to 2, then I am going to keep on dividing that. So the x equals to x divided by 2. So that's what I want to do. Okay. What do I want to divide by that? Okay. So there's a simple thing. You think that is pretty foolish. Just keep on dividing by 2 and for no purpose. So eventually we'll get a 0, 1, right? Eventually we'll get a 0, 1. But that is actually a very important step for conversion of your decimal numbers into binary numbers. Remember, when we have like a decimal number of 23, you're trying to get the binary numbers, right? So divided by 2, trying to use a remainder, and trying to use a remainder to build the binary string. So that binary will be the final binary numbers for the number you want to get. Okay. So here we're just trying to use a while loop, keep on dividing by 2 if it's greater than 2. So first number x is greater than 2, so you divide by 2, and then check again. If the number after you divide by 2 is still greater than 2, then you divide by 2 again, and then this will continue. All right. So we will continue this and trying to do like a binary number generation, binary number conversion. So if I give you any integer numbers, you want to convert it to binaries, okay? So I will do that in the next class. I think I have like a few minutes left. Any questions? I think you can take a look at your homework for homework 7 to see whether you have any questions. I think you probably are ready to start work on your homework 7 after today's class. Don't wait until next Monday to do your homework, okay? That's too late, because by that time, if something happened, then you have no way to finish your homework. So let me take a look at your homework for next week here. Okay. So first one is you declare array to hold 6 sales amounts, like this, okay? So you're going to, so those are sales amount. And then in New York, there are 2 tiers of sales tax. If sales amount is more than 2,000, the rate is 5.8. Otherwise, it's 8.5. And then you write a code on paper, okay? Just like, what we did with homework 6. You write a few lines of code and then on the paper to determine how do you calculate the total tax for this sales amount, okay? The second one says you need to use Visual Studio to create a simple dice game project. Okay, so always use a game. I think that is somehow motivation for some students, because there's some of you like to do games. So we have one text box to show the rewards, one text box to show rewards, and a button to simulate play of throwing dice continuously. So it's just like saying when you press a button, you keep on throwing dice. When do you stop? When you press a button, you generate random integers between 1 to 6. Okay, so that's just like throwing dice, right? And then continuously until you get 2 consecutive numbers identical. So for example, you get 1, 3, 4, 4, then you stop. Okay, or you get 1, 1, then you stop because you have 2 numbers same, right? Or you can say 1, 3, 5, 3, 3, then you stop. Okay, so until you get 2 numbers identical, then you stop. All right. So now, of course, the lucky person will get two numbers sooner than later, right? So the sooner, then you give more rewards. Later, you get a few less rewards. Does it make sense? Okay. All right. Any other questions? Any questions you may have? All right. Just make sure you upload your project, upload your note to attendance proof. Okay. All right. No questions. I will see you Wednesday.